That would be the first time I've ever heard that.
Too many of them.
So how's the tour? How long have you guys been on the road?
Me and Dan came out on the 7th, and we did an acoustic session at Amazon, and then we went...
Oh yeah, where, Seattle?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and then we went down to Fort Lauderdale and started properly. So it's been about 2 weeks, I suppose.
You get a break for Christmas after the Gaga run and everything? When did that end?
That ended
on the
some,
12th.
So we had like three or 4 weeks.
But recently, so you just got off the road from a massive tour like that.
Yeah.
So what is that? I don't want to get to this later, but maybe we'll just start there. What does that teach you as a performer watching a show? I mean, that's got costume changes, that's got dancers, it's got a band that's just like your band going all the time, obviously.
Yeah.
But does that change anything for you as a performer? Do you see anything when you're watching that and say, maybe we can add that to our show?
Well, I mean, it's a lot of production, a lot of money was spent on that thing.
Yeah.
And it sort of reminded me of like, what you'd imagine what a Bon Jovi show used to be like. You know what I mean? Like you'd have a huge set that's the stage and it's the concept, it's everything, and then you'd have another one which is in storage.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of money to spend on something like that. It's a totally different world. And also we kind of, because we got to sort of spend a bit of time with her, and we sort of recognised that she never really stops working, It's kind of like she'll do... She's always completely consumed and surrendered to the existence of it. And
you guys aren't? I feel like you guys would be too.
No, we are, but I mean, just not in the same way. We're old-fashioned, and I very seldom tweet. And if I do, it's only to sort of inflate my ego a little bit. If somebody said something nice, I'll just retweet it. Or I try not to do that. But if it's like about the shows, I think that's crucial, really, because I want people to know that we're doing good work. But aside from that, I just don't really put anything of myself out there. It's not to say I don't live it, but I mean, I'm just saying that I don't.
No, you're talking about the
it.
new music industry model. That
Yeah,
everyone has to be.
I'm not on Facebook, and I don't.
Well, I talk to bands about that all the time. The mystique that Zeppelin had would not have worked today.
Fucking no,
right?
you're speaking my language. I wish it was like the olden days.
You wish. Okay.
I mean, I saw a piece, like one of those sort of think pieces about the music trade, and it said, he used this lovely expression, mystery is history. And I immediately flicked to the back of the book to look at the classifiers and find another fucking job, because I don't want to be involved in something that hasn't got
really.
That kind
so
of
how
thing.
do you survive in the industry now?
We just don't sell as many tickets, and we don't sell as many T-shirts, and we don't sell as many records, and we're not on the radio as often. We've got no interest in being the boy next door, and I don't think we ever did. I think that was one of the things that. I mean, Nirvana comes along and it's amazing, but what it sort of inspires is less amazing. And you can say that about David Bowie and all that stuff. I think in England, Oasis came along and they were amazing, and it's one of my favourite bands.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that he's a great frontman and really awesome. But I think what people took from that was the boy next door can also play guitars, and they don't need to jump around. They can just stand there with their anoraks on and do that, And it's fine if you're Oasis, but it annoyed me that the rest of the music trade was also doing that. And then came Big Brother and all this fucking reality TV, and I feel like people are more. Well, I'm personally bored of it myself, and I'm sure other people are as well. Like, nobody aspires to be different anymore. Nobody wants to be weird. You know what I mean? Like, but the people that actually manage to do that and be weird, they're sort of pushed to the side of the mainstream, I think, a little bit, and you have to be really fucking amazing to exist properly within it.
But then you get the cult following, and maybe that's what you should be going for.
That's what we got at the moment.
Okay.
We've definitely got that. Thank you. And we're very happy in that to be that one of those bands, because I think that's partly because the last album hasn't got a clear single like the first one had.
The last one, you talking the One Way Ticket or the
no, Hot Cakes?
Yeah, okay.
Doesn't have in my opinion, it doesn't have a song in there that's obviously a single. That doesn't mean there aren't singles on it. I'm just saying that there's no kind of. But there's no opportunity to sort of go, yeah, this is the single, let's get on the radio, So,
yeah.
So it is like a
cult
band
where would you fit
album.
on the radio now? I'm trying to figure out where a lot of my favorite bands would even fit on a radio station anymore. You're not going to fit on the pop station.
No.
Well, I don't know. I doubt it. I don't think many bands fit on a pop station anymore, unless you're Maroon 5 and you're going for that sound, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, I guess on the rock stations, if they still, but they take less chances now. I programmed rock radio for a long time, and they take less chances. It's a lot harder to do anything that's just, like you said, slightly out of the mainstream. I don't know if I had a question with that. It's more of a statement.
No, it's interesting that you're coming from that perspective. I mean, it's so funny because they sort of we've heard that they're using things like focus groups.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And I even know people who use focus groups to write songs.
Was that what the Meatloaf experience was kind of like?
No, I'm talking about something else which I'm not allowed to talk about, really.
Then we won't go there. Well, let's talk about the Meatloaf experience. What was that like? Going into that songwriters camp, like you hear about the Nashville way things work.
Well, actually, I think the reason why I was involved in that is because the first they had a month of songwriting camp, and the first half of that was spent with a lot of Nashville guys who really know how to write songs quickly and not necessarily formulaically, but with a view to them being cut, and they know who they're writing for and stuff. And I think he got a bit frustrated with that and needed something that was more performance led. So people who are sort of writing songs with traditionally, like I write songs because with a view to performing them, and he wanted to get some of that. You know what I mean?
You write songs with the performance in mind. That's fascinating.
Yeah, for Darkness. Yeah.
So how does that happen? What are you thinking? Oh, this would be a good time to do a jump karate kick, or this would be a good time to wail a solo. Like,
yeah,
how does that work?
It's definitely in solos. Maybe not so much the choreography, but just the journey of it. You know what I mean? Like the musical element. That's definitely one eye on that when writing for Darkness. Not for other stuff, but
sure.
And so he got a few people in, like me and Eric Nally from Foxy Shazam. And a load of other people who are performers, to write stuff. And we all got stuff on that album, it actually worked really well. And it was fun, it's nice to sort of have the artist there that you're writing for, so you know what you need to do to get it cut.
Yeah.
And actually have that immediate kind of feedback is really helpful.
Is it interesting to write a song that you know you can never perform again? Or maybe you guys could, but it's not really your song. Are you ever going to play it? Or any of those songs?
No.
So they go away. What's that like as a writer?
Well, to be honest, as a writer, I used to do jingles.
Yeah, well, you probably hope those go away.
Well,
I saw one of the IKEA ones while I was researching this stuff, the Schloompa or whatever it was called.
Yeah, but that paid for the first album.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, the money I got from that was exactly what the album cost. And
do you miss those days? Do you miss writing jingles?
I do, yeah.
Really?
But it was kind of like a brilliant existence because I had really good relationships with the sort of advertising agencies, and without that you can't interpret what they want. You know what I mean? You need to understand what their vocabulary is and try and translate it into a musical vocabulary.
That's
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And you only do that when you work with someone for a prolonged period of time, or you have the client in the room.
Like Meatloaf.
Yeah. So you either get a Meatloaf scenario, or you have people that you've worked with before. And so I got to the point where I was getting paid really well just to do demos, and a lot of them weren't getting used, but it was fine because that's just how it worked.
Right.
And if it got used, it was a bonus, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I'm sure. I know we don't have too much time, and I want to get to the record because there's a lot of cool stuff, especially we talk about Zeppelin Communication Breakdown and Changing Your Life. What was it about that record? What was it about that song?
Well, actually, getting back to the focus group thing, originally that lyric was until I heard The Kick Inside by Kate Bush on the TDK D90.
Okay, so Kate, not big enough. That's funny.
It wasn't deemed rock enough.
But you took it into a focus group anyway, or did the label make you do that?
No, it was.
You can't talk about
it was Bob Ezrin.
Oh, okay. So producer. Gotcha.
Yeah. And he was saying he was pushing for me to find a more rock reference.
That's interesting.
So that was the second one. I mean, what I love about that song though is not The Kick Inside, but so not that album, but the Communication Breakdown is that it sounds really simple. It sounds really like you'd be able to pick up the guitar, walk into a pub and do it. But then you hear a million people doing it, and it's very, very difficult to pull it off. It's sort of one of those things that looks it looks beautifully simple, but it's actually really hard to capture that thing that they had.
Well, even trying to play drums along to your record today, it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Just listening to everything going on, there's a lot of things going on. How long did it take to make the latest record, Hotcakes? Because I know some songs are really old, but from the time you guys decided, let's do this.
Well, we did about a month of recording in May 2011, and
who made the call to do that? Who said let's do this again?
Well, me and my brother have been writing songs, so it was just a case of now what do we do with all these songs,
Okay.
I think he likes producing other bands, and obviously writing's good whenever you can do it, you know. And you know, he was. We were just collaborating on songs. We didn't know whether it's for the Darkness or whatever, really. And we had enough, and it was sounding like a Darkness record, you know, so we did a Darkness record. But we did a month in May, and then we planned to do 2 months, but we stopped and started rehearsing so that we could do the festival thing that we'd been offered, you know. And basically, we were sort of reluctant to take the download offer, you know, because we didn't want people to sort of think that we were cashing in or just doing something for money. And I mean, now I don't think we'd give a shit, to be honest, but at the time it was kind of...
No, it's because it had been a while, and
it was important to us that the
right?
perception was right, you know. So we wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to interfere with the fact that we were doing an album and all that sort of stuff. We wanted to really stress that. So after we did a sort of festival-y run and a bit of our own touring, we went back in the studio and finished it off.
How was it for you to get back on stage?
Altogether about 2 months, but it's spread over a year probably.
Sure. How was it for you to get back on stage? You guys do a lot of athletic things. Like, your show is a show. Were you able to just, like, I don't know, when was the last time you played a show before that where you ran around as much? Were you able to get into it as quickly? Physically?
Yeah.
Your show was demanding.
Yeah, I've always been fit, actually.
Okay.
Apart from there's a period when I wasn't fit, but I mean... that was addressed during the interim.
We don't talk about that.
I addressed all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I just... it's like slipping into a bath, really. But I think there was a slight... what hindered the development, I think, was this one eye on what people were thinking. And you know what I mean? Like, we were worried that we weren't as good as we used to be, and we wanted to make sure that everything was perfect, and that's not how we used to do business, you know. And so now with a year of solid touring behind us, we kind of we know what we've done wrong, really, and that's it. We cared, you know, and it's really important not to, I think, you know. And when we first kicked off, it was like we were doing those athletic things because nobody else was, and we just weren't interested in being like anybody else.
Yeah.
And then I think after the break, we were like, oh shit, we better do our thing, you know. And our thing is just whatever we feel like, really, you know.
Yeah, the costumes are a big part of it. And I was watching a video of you and Amoeba. See, I can't remember what record you picked up, but you're like, I need to show this to my costume designer. I don't know if you're being cheeky with that, or do you actually have a costume designer and you guys really plan out all that stuff?
What was the album?
I can't remember. It was after you picked up the Tom Petty one, and then it was one that I didn't, and I knew I should have written it down. After I watched it, I was like, oh, I'm not going to remember what it was. And now it's not coming to me. It was a dude in like a leather jacket with like... I can't remember. Sorry.
It wasn't Tom Petty?
It was after Tom Petty. No, Tom on the Damn Torpedoes record.
I love that outfit.
Yeah, just very normal.
That's a great...
Yeah.
That's a great album cover, I think. I can't remember what I picked up.
But the question was the costume designer situation. How important is the way you guys look on stage? Is that pre-planned every night that it needs to be different? Does it change from night to night?
No, I mean, because I'm so... I know what 2012 is all about for us, you know. It was us getting back into it. And 2013 was us finding our identity again and holding on to it, you know. I think last year I wanted to sort of dress like I was dead for 5 years and then dug up, which is effectively I was, you know. And I don't feel like that anymore. I feel like it's like, fuck it, we're the Darkness now. That's it. You know. So it means flares, it means catsuits, it means...
Where does that come from, that performance?
I'm not sure, to be... Well, it might be my mum, actually.
Okay.
Because I remember when we first sat down with a proper stylist, and she was a friend from Lowestoft. She was working with Kylie Minogue and a lot of big sort of pop people. And the first thing I said to her was, like, I want to wear a catsuit, you know? I'd actually tried to do it myself by getting a leotard and modified, but it was very revealing. It made people feel a little bit uncomfortable, particularly in the front row, you know, of a pub gig. It's hard. No,
Yeah,
you know,
pub gig, that's true.
It's difficult. And so I said, you know, I want a lace and leather catsuit. And she just looked at me and said, would you really let me do that? And then we had a great relationship with her, and she just always brilliant person to collaborate with, you know, and come up with ideas and stuff, you know. And always got it because she knew where we were from, you know, and she understood our upbringing, and we used to hang out when we were at school and stuff, so it was pretty cool.
It reminded me, I can't remember what video I was watching, one of them of you, it reminded me of Freddie Mercury, and then I saw a video of you playing with Brian May, and I hear a lot of Queen harmonies on the record, and things, I guess we call them Queen harmonies because they were the first to do them, they're not Queen harmonies, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What was, but you're walking away when Brian May starts soloing, you're not even watching him play. Is that because you would have fallen over in awe of what was happening to you right then?
I don't remember that. What do you mean?
You don't remember playing with Brian May?
Yeah, I remember playing with him, but I don't remember walking away from him.
He said, well, you start, I think you maybe looked at the drummer or something, like you, and I've talked to bands who have had these huge superstars play with them, and they find it difficult to stay in the moment if they start watching them, because they feel like that.
Well, the thing about that is, that might have been a conscious thing, because what I wanted to do was demonstrate that to Brian and I'm Freddie, you know what I mean? So
you're Freddie.
Yeah, if that's the scenario that we're in, you know what I mean? Like he came to see us play in 2003 and said that Dan reminded him of Malcolm Young, and then he said to me, "I'm not sure who you remind me of," in a sort of, in a playful way, and so when we performed together, I just thought, well, I'll be the singer and he'll be the guitarist. You know?
That makes sense.
So, and I didn't want it to be a Brian May fest, and he also didn't want me to say anything about him performing with us. You know what I mean? He didn't want me to say, "Look, everyone is Brian May," you know, to the crowd.
Was that one of those moments for you that you're like, okay, we've made it? Or was it just another night?
No, it was just. He's been a friend of the band for 10 years now.
Oh, okay.
And we've been out socially, been over his house, and we've rehearsed with him a few times, and you know, jammed with him, and started to write something with him, and I don't know. It's just like it was just one of those. It was great because you know it was great. It was great for my family, and it was great for all of our close friends who saw that moment and stuff. But for me, it was a gig. You know,
sure.
Which is always a special occasion. You know, that's not to play it down. That every gig is really important to me. You know.
One band told me every show is no show is a no show. Every show is a go show. And it sounds like you take it from the same concept.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I do is get in the building and have a look at the space and try and imagine what might happen if it's warranted. You know, because I don't like to plan things too much. You know, I don't want it to be contrived, or you know, I want everything to be in the moment. But it's important to know where you are, you know, and sort of
absolutely.
Have an understanding of where the balconies are, what you can climb up, what you can't climb up.
Will a set list change given the space of the room? No. Okay.
The set list won't change.
So how does the set list get developed for you guys for a show?
We just try stuff, and then you know, we keep the things that we enjoyed and get rid of the things that we hated. And we've just started playing "Living Each Day Blind" off the new album.
Oh, I like that song. I was just listening to it just now. Yeah.
We normally do it in when we try something new. It tends to be Boston that we do it in. And we tried it in Boston yesterday. It was all right. Nobody hated it. So.
That's a good start. No one hates it. They're saying you got to go. So we do something called 5 questions. 5 quick questions, 1 word answers. Road or studio?
Studio.
Lennon or McCartney?
McCartney.
When you hear a song, what usually hits you first? Lyrics, melody, or rhythm?
Lyrics.
Song you've written you're most proud of?
Music again.
Cool. In 1 word, The Darkness.
Back.
Back. I like it, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Keep going, but I think you got stuff to do.
No, keep going.
Maybe not. All right. So the Radiohead song.
Yeah.
Very different than their version.
Not very different.
Well, a lot heavier than their somber.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, but the
melodic.
riffs are the same. It's an interpretation of the riff. I think it's different in the arrangement because I've moved some of the lyrics around, you know, and I've cut out a verse. But it's an octave up.
Yeah.
It's in the same key, but it's an octave up. I mean, there's a lot of similarities and just a different approach.
I heard it as a more fun song, because what did Tom say? The dark tunnel without the light at the end is what he called that song. And I see a tunnel with light at the end when I hear your version.
Oh, I don't.
Is that you still hear the song?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
it's helpless, and
I guess it's just the fast guitars. They just make things sound happier, I suppose.
I think it's got a triumphant guitar solo in it, and a big ending. But those are live tricks. I think the song. I think we've still managed to maintain the essence of the song. I hope we have, anyway.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I don't know. I found it a little happier.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me listening and playing drums along to it always helps. when you're kind of
you're probably happy, but
I am happy. Yeah. Well, it's fun to play the big songs,
Yeah.
As well, I'm sure you know 99. That's why you make the music you do.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Love is a huge theme on the record. You're talking about forbidden love. You're talking about exes falling in and out of love. But what I noticed in Love Is Not the Answer, you said, and this is now sounding like a proper question. I don't know what love is, but I know what love is not. So what is love not? To quiz you on your own lyrics.
It's not what you expect it to be, and it's not. You have a load of experiences in your life. This is what I've discovered as a soap person, actually. Up to a point, I was self-medicating. You know what I mean? And not sure if any of that stuff counts. And so from the point at which I was reborn.
You view it that way? You view it that way?
Oh yeah, no question. I found myself sort of operating at an even keel, and I didn't think I'd ever feel anything. And I thought, this is actually what it's like. There's no such thing. It's just that you kid yourself, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
And then you meet somebody, and it all changes. And it is. You just don't know where it's going to come from. It's just, a remarkable experience. That's what it is. I know what it's not, and that's all that other stuff.
It's not boring.
It's not rose petals. It's not peacock feathers. It's not fucking always and forevers. It's everything else.
Can you constantly write? Are you someone who's constantly writing songs, thinking of melodies, thinking of ideas?
No, I need a guitar all the time.
You need a guitar.
Yeah, I do. I think of lyrics all the time.
And what, jot them down on your phone or something?
Yeah, I normally have like some sort of document that I put stuff in, and it's usually just sort of a couple of lines. It won't be any more than that until I've got a melody, and it's really hard to sort of nail that down unless you've got a guitar. And it's the most frustrating thing about travelling is that you haven't got a guitar with you.
Even on the road like now?
Well, actually, two of us things okay, but you haven't got any privacy.
So you need to be alone as well.
Yeah. It's like masturbation. Ideally, ideally, you'd want to be alone to really enjoy it.
How do you know?
There are exceptions.
I don't know how to go serious after that. How do you know where to put the vocal? Your voice goes high, it goes low. It's all over the place in some songs, and I mean that in a good way.
Yeah.
But how do you know? Do you test things out and say, well, maybe I should try it high here, and it doesn't work? Are there situations of that?
When it's a me song, or I'm writing for, like, say for example, the things I was doing for Adam Lambert and Meatloaf and stuff, I would just
Adam
literally.
Lambert? Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
First song on his first album.
Okay.
That's the one I said I was most proud of.
Oh, you're looking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like when I did that, and when I do anything else, I just write it, and I don't think about the key. I don't think about any of that stuff. I just do it. And then when it's time to perform it, then the key will move around, and we'll try different capo positions, different inversions, and we'll try different keys. We'll try every key. We'll go right through until we find the one where it sort of hits the emotion part of my voice. I actually think that the guys have a different idea of what my voice should be doing to what I've got. The Darkness is 4 opinions that all count. It's a 4-way partnership, equal partnership, and so if 3 of them are saying, "Look, I think you should sing it like that," it's like, "Fuck it, I'll sing it like that."
Yeah.
But I tend to like to save my falsetto and the high bits and the screaming for key moments, whereas they like me to be in that power zone all the time.
Can you keep up with being in that power zone all the time?
I can. I just don't like listening to it. I mean, if I listen to a song that's like that, like "Get Your Hands Up," for example, is like that, and so if I'm listening to that, it's really hard to relax because my voice box goes into like not a spasm, but it prepares itself to sing along to it. It's very hard to relax when I'm listening to my own singing voice.
Are there tricks for someone who sings so high, like during the day? You talking this long is probably not a smart thing.
No, it doesn't make any difference to me at all.
Really?
Yeah, I just
Oh, that's good. Well,
I
that's...
wake up in the morning and I know immediately if I'm going to be able to sing or not. And nothing I do during the day will change it.
How does
I can get up in the morning and if, like this morning, for example, I knew I'd be able to sing. I could smoke 50 cigarettes and I'd still be fine.
do the cigarettes help, you think?
I use them in the studio as a trick because it makes... I've heard people that sing our songs and I've heard them do it with such a shrill kind of... with a real edge on the voice, and it's too much, you know. So when I use cigarettes in the studio because it rounds it off nicely and it gives a warmth to certain syllables and certain areas of my range. It really sort of helps, you know. It's not good for the breathing stuff, but you know, if you use it in the right way, it can be really effective, you know.
That's great. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to ask you. That's everything I got on here. Anything else you want to talk about? You want to keep going through the record? I don't know how much time you have.
That's what you want to do.
Well, I don't know how much time you have. I feel like you should be busy doing things.
I'm waiting for some vegan food to come. But...
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, yeah.
Well, no, because I'm becoming vegetarian.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Just trying to, at least. It's hard.
So what do you eat and what don't you eat?
I cut out red meat altogether. Chicken is, I don't know, once a month, maybe. Trying not to. A lot of beans, a lot of quinoa.
Yeah.
A lot of guacamole, salsa, that kind of... I mean, you're just trying new recipes all the time.
Sounds like my diet.
It must be hard on the road. Because every time I'm on the road, it's really difficult.
It was very difficult in South America. I mean, North America's a lot easier. To be honest, I don't eat as much as I should, but I used to sort of. I never used to eat cheese and dairy and stuff like that because that makes you produce mucus, so it's no good for singing. No good for singing, and it's also no good for any sort of physical performance because you end up with snot all over your beard, isn't it? And so that's been. I eliminated that years and years ago. So that was the easiest step, really. I mean, the meat thing. I had a long period where I was just pescatarian, and then for I don't know a few years when we first started doing this again, or actually from the break onwards, I was kind of like just a bit of chicken like you know, occasionally a lot of avocados, a lot of salsa.
Yeah.
But now it's full on hardline vegan.
Really?
Really full on, completely strict about it. It's actually quite a good. I think it helps me because there's a lot of things in my life that I've given up and never gone back to, and you know, like heroin, cocaine,
sure,
ecstasy,
just as bad as chicken
alcohol.
and red meat.
Yeah. So to have something that's actually quite difficult to avoid, you know, because in the olden days my main difficulty was finding drugs.
Right.
Not finding them is easy, you know, because nobody wants to share them and nobody wants to put themselves in a precarious legal situation by trying to find them for you. So
sure,
it's actually quite easy to avoid drugs, but it's very, very difficult to avoid meat.
Yeah. Now you gotta go.
You gotta go?
Just wrap it up.
Sure.
What have we got next? What's the thing?
You're done. Sound check.
Let's carry on. For a bit.
Okay.
So I think it's helpful in the recovery sense to sort of have something else to focus on that isn't that, you know.
I found that as well. I didn't have quite the drug situation you have, but I haven't smoked weed in about 3 months. But I hear you, if you're focusing on not eating the food, you're not thinking of the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I was watching on the topic of the drug stuff.
It's actually quite good. It's a good thing to have a positive thing to transfer to, because a lot of people who have been in my situation, they find themselves addicted to porn or exercise or something like that. You know, I mean, exercise is
it's a good thing.
Good thing. I think for a while I was probably exercise-aholic, if that's a word. But yeah, now it's just struggling to actually have enough sustenance to put a show on. You know?
Did you watch Russell Brand did a BBC documentary on recently? I just saw it on just the drug system in the UK. How it's more of a and the US has it too, more of an imprisonment society than a rehab society. I don't know if you want to give me your thoughts on that or not. I
didn't see the documentary.
No, so don't bother.
And I wouldn't know what the situation's like in America. But I did. A friend of mine bought me that book, A Million Little Pieces, James Frey book, about his recovery. And when I read Brian Wilson's autobiography that was co-written by Eugene Landy. It sounded like he'd been kidnapped a couple of times, So I would hesitate to say it was different anywhere in the world, really. I mean, the problems are the same and the treatments are the same,
Is rehab the right answer? Is that
No.
for you, though?
No, abstinence is the answer.
And they don't teach that in rehab?
No, I mean they do. But
I mean, I don't need to print any of this.
This is what I think is people. Out of a group of 20 people that you might be in recovery with, 1 or 2 will go out and continue to live in a sober way. Whereas the rest of them will end up back picking up again. And the statistics are really, really bad, which suggests that it might not be a reliable way of doing it. But for me, it was just an opportunity to concentrate on it 24/7, and it really helped me. I don't actually go to meetings and stuff like that. I don't do any AA or CA, NA.
You've been able to just cut it out. That's great.
Yeah, I mean.
Except for when people probably ask you about it on a daily basis. It must be difficult.
Well, I mean, it's an exception to talk to you about it because, I don't know, you just seem like you have a different vibe to the people that normally ask me about stuff like that. I usually get very defensive and I say I don't want to talk about it. But,
if you don't want me to print any of it, that's fine too.
That's fine. I'm past caring. I just don't like it. I don't like it when people who obviously don't give a shit ask. That's the thing that annoys me.
I see what you're saying.
I mean, I sort of feel like professionally. Well, I mean, on a physical and in a sort of spiritual way, it saved my life. Literally saved my life. And I think that that's not an interesting story for a lot of people. They like to see somebody who's fucked up and stuff. I mean,
well, that's the press.
I mean, I'm kind of like I'm 7 years in soon, and it'll be like I put a picture up that was kind of simulating. Actually, don't put this in. But there's a picture on my Tumblr that may or may not be me falling off the wagon, and it's me with my trousers down with a bottle of sparkling wine in my hand, and it's the most popular picture on my blog. It's like it's kind of like and I was like thinking that there's something to that sort of the Keith Richards thing and the Amy Winehouse thing and all those things that people are more fascinated by failure than success when it comes to recovery. And in every other aspect of life, they're more interested in success.
Do you feel a responsibility to talk about it now that you've gone through it?
No, not at all. No, the opposite, actually.
To be put in a position of celebrity?
No, I'm not a celebrity anymore, you see. I think actually part of the reason...
Anymore? How come?
I think, part of the reason is because I say no to a lot of stuff, I have so many television opportunities.
And you've said no.
I say no
even
to
though
everything.
You know it will help.
In fact, I don't say no. I say I'm sorry. I'm rearranging my sock drawer on that day, and then I go, which day is it? I always do it in that order. But it's really funny. I mean, just.
But knowing it'll help the popularity of the band, you still say no. That's interesting.
Well, I sometimes dispute whether it'll help the popularity of a band, and I always think that, for example, say it was a reality TV show. I think it'd be counterproductive in terms of the
lose a little credibility.
Yeah.
Sure.
And there's been enough damage done to the band's credibility over the years, And it's not that it's just from everything we do, the music, the gigs. No, I mean I think it's just credibility was never important to us, so. It's also important that we don't play with it, and it's also important that we just leave it, and let other people decide. Sort of, I think interfering in that way, and existing in media in any capacity other than performing is dangerous. I think, and my opinion is of the television trade is that it's more evil than music.
I see that. I see that in your country a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Not so much here. Well, the States, yes, but Canada specifically, not so much. It's more nature programming kind of thing.
Yeah. Which is not evil.
No, absolutely not. Let's go back to songwriting. So where does it start for you? You're sitting in a room by yourself, you said, alone with a guitar.
Yeah.
And do you have a chord that you typically gravitate to? I seem to always pick up an A minor whenever I pick up, and I don't know
minor.
why. I don't know why. But that's where it usually. You trying to impress me? What was that?
I don't know. It never works normally. I don't know. I haven't got a favourite chord really.
Because
What it'll be is like if I've got like it'll be a melody or something, and then I try and find and play it on the guitar,
Okay.
and then build the chords around the melody.
And then words will come after, or words will come from stuff you already have on your phone or in a book somewhere,
Yeah.
and then you place them where you
That's
feel
if
they belong.
that's if it's on a deadline. But the best thing to do for me is just have I've got a particular guitar that's really, really effective for songwriting. I don't know
An
why.
acoustic?
No, it's a Strat actually.
Oh, okay.
An old Strat, like a 71 Strat.
Nice.
Like the Yngwie Malmsteen Strat, but not with scalloped frets. It's sort of it's got a really round radius on it, and it's not something that I would normally play live. And
I've been ready for a while. He wants to keep talking. I'll keep talking as long as he wants to.
And so I just generally sit there and wait for something to happen. You know, like I always think it's like catching butterflies. You know,
The
you
moment.
have to sit there with a net and then wait for it to come past. You know?
And the other guys will tell you whether it's good or bad. And you trust everything.
That's when I'm writing for me, and then I'll bring bits in if we need it. You know,
Gotcha.
it's genuinely collaborative when it's with the Darkness. You know,
So everyone's together.
yeah, and everyone has ideas, and you know, some people have got more ideas than others, and it varies from song to song. Like every song we've ever done has been, the publishing on it has been split, you know, on a song by song basis because everyone contributes differently to everything.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. But that works though, because then it's fair for everybody.
Yeah, but I think it actually makes a little bit of, if you're not on good terms, then it can make a bit of anxiety and a little bit of over-assertiveness, and the truth is a little bit unclear sometimes. It's good at the moment because we're all aware of that we've got something that we're in danger of losing, you know, because we've lost it once, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really nice, but I think it might be nice to find something that's more of a constant, so everybody can be truer to the song.
So you're writing for the next record? Has that started? You guys have begun.
Yeah.
Are we hearing the songs live, or you save them?
No,
You're-
yeah,
you're
they're
the
very
kind of
much.
guys that save them.
No, they're very much in development at the moment.
Okay. So what are you writing about? Love. And notice love is a big theme on all the records.
At the moment,
Why
I'm
is
trying-
love always a big theme for every
it's not,
band?
well, I mean,
Universal theme?
for me, when we first started writing about love songs, it was kind of like, I remember saying to Dan, you know, like there was a lot of sort of a mystical, cosmic, flowery kind of terminology going on in songs, and it was always the one word they weren't saying was love, you know. And people were moaning about their girlfriends and their romantic situations and predicaments, and nobody was saying it. And I was like, well, fuck, can we just write some songs that have got love in the title? And that's the first thing we did, was we wrote Love Is Only a Feeling, Love on the Rocks and No Ice, and I Believe in a Thing Called Love. You know, those three songs happened quite close to one another because it was kind of like we were very determined to sort of be honest about what we were talking about and spell it out like bands used to. And I think that was what went missing in the 90s, when people stopped saying the word, you know. And so it was kind of like when the word became a taboo, it was kind of like that's the thing that really started to turn us on, and we wanted to sort of be out there, being the band that does those love songs, you know.
And it seemed to work. People wanted to hear it again.
Yeah, and then it became a habit, and gonna break it now.
Yeah, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So is it going to be darker themes?
No,
Just different words? Different
No.
word choices, I suppose.
different. They've always been quite. A lot of that stuff is quite dark, you know. In some ways, you know, like it's not necessarily happy. I mean, it sounds like it's joyous and stuff, but it's not always coming from a happy place. You know, Love on the Rocks with No Ice that's when the relationship is falling apart. You know, and it's kind of like and you're too polite to fucking deal with it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like an English kind of breakup song in a way.
It's too polite to deal with it. That's funny. I think we're like that here in Canada too a little bit. Well, I've been in that situation before, for sure.
Yeah, when you're just going through the motions. You know, that's what that song's about. So they're not always happy Paul McCartney songs, you know.
Well, Mac has got some. Helter Skelter's a dark song.
Yeah.
Although that's one
Yeah,
out of 1,000.
I like a lot of his solo output.
You do.
Yeah, I do.
That's the opposite of what most people will say.
That's because they're too busy trying to be cool.
You think so?
To understand that guy is a true artist and you know, quite a brave person for the things that he sings about. You know,
See, I liked not
He's a
not the jazz
fantastic-
record, but I liked the one before that, Memory Almost Full. I thought that was a
Yeah,
really
yeah.
cool record. Different.
he's an amazing musician, real genuine all-rounder.
Did you get a chance to meet him? Have you talked to him at all?
No, I've never met him, but I would like to. I'm a big fan.
People always ask me what's the one interview you want to do. I'm like, that's just set him up in front of me for 20 minutes.
When you see his band live, it's fucking great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, everyone.
It's really good.
Top-notch musicians, right?
Brian Ray's a really brilliant guitar player. And just the whole thing's really well arranged, and it's minimalist where it needs to be, and it's fucking sprawling where it needs to be. I think he's really on it. It's really good.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, man.
Cool.
Good talking to you.
You too.